All right, so today's class, we are going to be going over the campaign section within Command. So to get started, I'm on the sign-in page for Command. I'm at agent.kw.com, and I'm going to sign in with my KW username and password. I'll give you a moment to do the same as well. Now, when accessing Command, we recommend going in through either Firefox or Google Chrome. We've just seen that Command tends to work best in those browsers. So currently, I'm in Firefox. Now we are going to go into the design section briefly, but we'll mostly be in campaigns today. But before we actually do that, I want to go into our settings and just make sure we have a few things set up before we actually go in and create our campaigns today. So we're going to click on our name at the top right and then click settings. So click your name at the top right and then settings. This is going to bring us into our applications. This is where we can see the different apps that we have connected to Command, as well as connect additional apps. Now, there are a few apps that I want to point out today that you should have set up ahead of time before you actually create your campaigns. So toward the top, we have our apps that are currently connected. You can see we have Facebook for post scheduling and for Ads Manager. Now, today we are going to go through and create a social post together. So you definitely want to make sure that your business Facebook page is connected here. Now, for Facebook specifically, when you are connecting your account, you are going to sign in with your personal login information, and you want to sign into the account that has your business page linked to it. So we're signed into Scott's personal Facebook, but through his personal Facebook, he manages our business page. So that is connected here. You can also see we have Facebook again, but for Ads Manager. So if you're going to be running a Facebook ad campaign, you'll want to make sure that this is connected as well. And if we scroll down, we also have Twitter for post scheduling. So if you would like to schedule posts for Twitter, you need to connect this as well. So to connect any one of these, all you have to do is go to the far right and click Connect Account. Make sure you allow pop-ups, and then you'll be able to sign into that account that you are connecting. Oop, and I just lost the window. There it is. So you just sign in with your Twitter username and password, and that will be linked right away. So somebody asked, how do you connect the business account of Facebook? So you actually create your business page through your personal account. So it should be connected. You just have to sign into the account that you use to access your business page. Scrolling down, we also have Twitter for ads. So similar to Facebook, we have Facebook twice and Twitter twice, once for post scheduling, once for ads. And then Google AdWords, if you're going to be running a Google AdWords campaign through Command, you'll want to connect that here as well. So the cost of running ads is dependent upon a few different things. Unfortunately, we're not going to go over ads today because we do have a class on Facebook Ads 101. So I would recommend, we're going to touch on the other campaigns today and just mention Facebook ads. So for that, check out our website, slmtraining.com, and you can access that Facebook ads class. Running a Facebook ad is dependent on a lot of different things. It's dependent upon how many views it receives, how many clicks, and so on. So we touch on that more in our Facebook ads class. So there's not like a black and white answer to what a Facebook ad costs, unfortunately. You can determine how much you want to spend and your limit for each day, but the cost actually varies dependent upon a lot of different factors. So scrolling down, we also have this email services section that I want to point out. So first we have our emails. Under email services, we have Command Email. So I'm going to click Manage next to Command Email. Now, when you send out any smart plans or email campaigns through Command, they're going to be sent on your behalf through a generic KW email. But if anybody replies to those emails, to those smart plans or those email campaigns, this is where you're going to designate where the responses will go to. So you definitely want to make sure you have your sender name here as well as the reply to email. You can choose any one of these options or add in a custom email here as well. So definitely make sure that this is ready to go before you send out any email campaigns. It'll show you this as well when we actually go into the email campaign. I'll point that out and it'll show you what this is. And if you need to change it, it'll give you a link. You can also manage your monthly account usage here. You get 5,000 free emails per month through Command. If you find that you're using more than that, you can actually up that subscription here and pay to have more emails. So directly below that, we also have MailChimp. So we're going to send our campaigns today through the Command email, which basically means we're using Command to send to our Command database. We're going to send an email campaign to people who are already in the contact section here. Previously, you only could send email campaigns through MailChimp. Now we have the choice. This is just meaning that it's going to utilize your MailChimp database. So if you want to use MailChimp, you'd have to move your contacts over to MailChimp as well. I think the Command email is just the preferred, easier way to do it. So we're going to go through the Command email today, and I'll show you that in action. So definitely make sure that your Command email is ready to go. And then these additional items here, we will be touching on post scheduling. Now, before we go in and actually create a post, I'm going to touch on designs briefly as well. We also teach a Designs 101 class, but since I'm going to be utilizing a design today, I did want to go ahead and put together a quick Facebook piece with the class today. So we're going to switch gears. We're going to go all the way over to the left-hand side. This is our applet menu. And while you're still learning what these different icons are, you can actually click on the red KW and it'll expand this menu and show you the name of each section. So let's start by going into designs. So I do teach that Designs 101 class. That is typically the second Friday of every month. And in that class, we go over creating a social media piece as well as a print piece. But for today's class, we're just going to very quickly create a social post together. So this is our design library. This is a library of all the pieces we've created before. So to create something new, I'm going to click the plus sign down at the bottom right. And we want to create a social piece today. So I'm going to select social. And then within designs, we have the option to import photos and text from our listing. So I'm going to check that box here and then click next. Now this brings up a KWLS search page. We can actually search for the listing we're working with and it'll pull over the photos and info we need onto our piece. So right now it's under show all listings. So I can go ahead and search for my listing here by entering in the property address. And I can select my listing. Once I do that, it's going to refresh and bring me into the design templates. Now in my Designs 101 class, we're going to go into this much more in depth. I'm going to point out all the different designs you have available. We'll also touch on the brand assets section. This is basically where you want to add in your info, your logos, all the pieces and information you will use on your design pieces. But for today's class, since we do have that Designs 101 class, I'm just going to briefly create a social media piece. So on the left, this is a list of all of our different templates we have available. I'm going to select listings and then just listed. Somebody asked if you can use an office listing. I would check with your office and make sure. In my old office, and I'm only speaking about the office that I was in, I think you were technically allowed to use other people's listings, but it was encouraged for you to get approval from the listing agent. So I would definitely check with the agent to make sure they're okay with you marketing their listing. And definitely check with your office and with your broker as well to see if that's even allowed. Now I selected just listed. And I'm going to go into social wide. That's going to show me all of my pieces that are great for Facebook. And I'm just going to go ahead and select this first option and click use. And I'm going to do my best to answer everyone's questions today. I am recording this class, so this will be on slmtraining.com. And if I don't answer your questions, please shoot us an email after class. Our email is support@scottleroymarketing.com. So here's the Facebook piece I'm going to create. You can see it's pretty simple because we're going to put more information in the body of the post. So we just want to have the basic listing information on the piece here. So I am going to go into KWLS on the left. And it should have selected my listing, but I'm going to go ahead and just search for that listing again. Because we didn't directly come into a piece, it kind of lost my search that we did. And I'll go ahead and select my listing again here. So as you can see, it basically ports over all the photos and listing details, so I can very quickly create this piece. So again, I'm just going to briefly do this so we can see and create this piece together. So all I did, and this is an error that's still happening. Unfortunately, it has the KWLS photos, but when you add them over, so what I did was I just dragged the photo. It's looking like it's going to load, and then it pops it up to this corner. So instead, I'm just going to upload the photo from my computer by clicking Images and then Add. And it actually looks like I've imported this before. So I'm just going to go ahead and add this in. There we go. Now I need to change out the listing details. If I click on the address up at the top and then go back to KWLS, under listing details, I can go ahead and click on the replace button and it'll swap out my address right away. So for some of these, you may have to readjust it. For example, this doesn't add in the state. I'm going to click on my logo. I already have my logo uploaded, so I'm just going to choose like a generic KW. This isn't the Fort Mill office, but just for today's class, I'm going to add in the Fort Mill logo and then just very quickly change out these property details. And then I'll change that the year that this was built. Again, I'm just clicking on the text and changing it. And there we go. So I know I went through that really quickly. Check out my Designs 101 class and we go through this much slower. But for today's class, I just wanted to show you that I'm creating a Facebook piece and we're going to actually pull that into Campaigns and post this directly. So what I'm going to do to save is I'm going to go up here and rename this. So I'll call this Farmhouse Just Listed. And that'll actually save automatically for me. And all I need to do is now click done. I can download this if I want to, but we're going to go ahead and post this directly through Command. So I'm just going to click done. And this is saved for me. When we actually look at social, there we go. There's our piece. So that was just like a little precursor to what we're actually going to do today. So let's actually go into the campaigns. We can do so by clicking this megaphone over here on the left, and that'll bring us into the campaigns section. Now in Command, we have both paid and free campaigns. The paid campaigns are going to be paid ads, like running a Facebook ad, a Twitter ad, Google AdWords. For that, since we do have a class just on Facebook Ads 101, we're not going to be touching on that today. So definitely check out Elizabeth's Facebook Ads 101 class. That can be found on our slmtraining.com website. So that is one of the ads. That is a paid ad. Also under paid ads, we have direct mail. So we're going to go through and create a postcard today. We also have free ads within Command. We have social posts and we have email campaigns. So let's just start with social posts. Now this is similar to Hootsuite. If you've ever used that program before, you can essentially create your social media pieces and schedule them ahead of time, and they will run automatically for you throughout the week. So we like to say set it and forget it. It's a good idea to get your posts ready maybe on a Sunday and then set them up and they will post automatically throughout the week for you. So you can see this is a calendar of the upcoming week. We don't have any posts on there yet, but let's go ahead and create one today. So to create any new campaign, we're going to click Create New Campaign at the top right. And we're going to start by selecting Social Post. Now we're going to work our way through these items on the left to build our post over here on the right. It starts with the text. I'm going to do something like just listed in Franklin. We have 2,200 characters on here, so we don't need to be brief. I'm going to go ahead under that, add the property description. And then say something like contact today for more information. All right, so that's what we're going to put in. We're advertising a listing today, doing a post for our listing. Now we need to upload our photo. We have the option to upload photos from my computer, upload a video, or add a link. So since we just created that Facebook piece, I want to use that for this post that we're creating. So I'm going to click here. This is already selected, choose from designs, and I'm going to click Browse Design Library. Here is our piece that we just created. And once we select that, that's going to plug this into our Facebook piece. Now it is going to have you crop this. If you click on this drop-down menu and select wide, this will fit perfectly. So you can see, and you can manually readjust this if you're adding in your own image, but clicking wide will actually fit perfectly for that Facebook piece. And I'm going to click crop image. Once I do so, you can see this is our piece here. It's coming together. We can see our property description and the preview of the Facebook piece. Now, directly underneath this, there's a DBA logo section. You can see I already added a logo onto the piece itself, but it also plugged this logo, which comes from our marketing profile, directly on top of the piece. So for the Facebook posts, this is not required. If you're creating a Facebook ad, it is required. So since I already have a logo on there, I can remove this extra KW that it just kind of plopped on top. I'm going to click on this X and it'll remove that logo for me. There's also an option here to include an ownership statement. This is again pulling from our marketing profile. We already have an ownership statement on the piece itself, so I don't need to include that. That's basically going to do the same thing as that logo. It's going to just put that text on top of the piece. As we work our way down, next we need to select when we want to post this. So we can either schedule the post ahead of time or publish immediately. It says the best days to post are Monday, Wednesday, and Friday mornings. So I'm going to click on this calendar to select which date and time I'd like to publish this. So tomorrow looks good for me. Friday's already selected, and I'll say Friday at 10:30 a.m. Now there isn't a save button on here. All you have to do is just click away from the box and you can see it saves that time for me. And then down below, it is going to have our Facebook connected here. So we already connected this in our settings. This looks good to go. So you can see very quickly I was able to create that Facebook post. So I pulled over that image from designs, added in the property description, and chose when I want this to go out. So this looks good to me. I can go ahead and either save this as a draft or schedule the post. So I'll go ahead and schedule this. Now, once we do that, it's going to bring us back to this social post section. And you can see here's our calendar for upcoming days, and this is our post. You can see the status is scheduled. Once this goes out, you'll actually be able to see how many likes, comments, and shares it received. If we click on this ... we can choose to edit the post. That's before it actually goes out, or we can delete it. Now we also have these options for quick posts. You can see these are our suggested quick posts here. These are basically just post templates that you can use. So for example, if I want to use this piece here, I can go ahead and click on this little arrow. And it's going to bring me into the piece. And you can see it says something about new construction in America. It has a stock photo added in there for you. Basically free for you to use. So you can utilize these quick posts. You can change them, customize them if you'd like. I actually don't have to do anything. I'm just going to use whatever they gave me. And then I can choose when I want this posted. So maybe I'll post this on Monday morning at 9 a.m. So I can go ahead, same thing, click schedule post. And there we go. So this is only showing April, but if we go ahead and skip to this month, we can see we have some posts coming up. So you can scroll through those and go ahead and create those posts. Like again, we like to say set it and forget it. And you can schedule those ahead of time and they will run automatically for you. So I'm going to go ahead and delete those because I don't actually want these to go out. So I'm going to click this ... and then delete. But that is how you can utilize that post scheduling section of Command. And you can see there are quite a few of these suggested quick posts. You can actually shuffle through these as well to see additional posts. And I just want to make sure that these are actually deleted. So let me try refreshing my page. It looks like this may have frozen. There we go. Let me skip ahead and find that one. Here we go. Here's that post for Monday. I'm going to delete that as well. So you can see as I refresh the page, all of these quick posts are coming up as well. So lots of options for you to utilize there. Now that is our first free campaign. We can also set up email campaigns through Command. So this is an email campaign, but it's more similar to an email blast. And before we actually go into the email campaigns, I want to go back into our settings to point out something that you will want to check on as well before you actually set up these email campaigns. So I'm going to click on Scott's name again and click Settings. Now these are those applications. We are already here. Let's click on Connect Settings on the left and then Marketing Profile. Now when we set up that social post, there were only a few items that pulled over from the marketing profile onto our social post. So we didn't need to worry about that too much. But when you send out an email campaign through Command, it's going to add in information from your marketing profile. So it's always a good idea before you're working in Command to make sure that your marketing profile is updated. This is where you're going to add in your photo, your logos, your personal and contact information. This is actually what pulls over onto your agent site. So you'll want to make sure that this little toggle is turned on as well. But I'm just going to briefly show you this. Your photo and logo are going to go up here at the top. Make sure that this is your team logo. Don't add your office logo here. There's actually a, excuse me, a spot for that down below. Your details, of course, anything with that little red star is required. And this can be updated at any time. So contact information, here's that market center and brokerage section. So this is where that logo was pulling from onto our social piece. And we've noticed that this actually works better most of the time if it's not a square. Some compliance spots, if you have links or documents that need to be on your email campaigns, on your website, whatever it is, if that's required by your office, you can add those in here. Some spots for social media links. You'll definitely want to make sure those are added in. And then Facebook Pixel and Google Analytics for tracking. So just a good idea to briefly take a glance at this and make sure all of your info is up to date because it's going to pull this over onto the email campaign that we create. So you can click save. This will update right away. This will be updated for those email campaigns and on our website. Changes made to the marketing profile for your mobile app may take up to 72 hours to reflect. So just keep that in mind. But let's go back to our campaign section, clicking on that megaphone. And then we're going to go into emails. Now these are different from the smart plans. The smart plans kind of follow more of a campaign structure where you can set up multiple steps, space things out, what have you. You can do so in here under email campaigns as well, but this is mostly for sending out like a one-time email blast to your command database. So you do have to set these up one by one. Let's go ahead and click that create a new campaign button again. Oh, actually, before we do that, when you are sending out an email campaign through command, you either have the option to send it to your MailChimp database, and that's where we saw that information in our settings where you could link MailChimp, or you can send it out to your command database. Now, I think it's easier to go ahead and use the command mail because our contacts are already here in command. So before we actually create our email campaign, it's a good idea to make sure we have an email list set up ahead of time. So before we go into create a new campaign, I'm actually going to click configure lists, and we're going to set up an email list. Now we're looking at our command email. If you wanted to use MailChimp, you would have to have your MailChimp account connected here, and it's going to pull over those contacts. But I'm going to work with my command database. So I already have an email list set up here. You can see it has 55 contacts on it. If I wanted to, I could edit this list or delete it. But I'm going to create a new email list for today. So I'm going to click create list. And I'll call this farming list. Now below, I can select which contacts I'd like to add to my email list. I can search for people by name, email, or neighborhood if I have neighborhoods added in. I can just go ahead and individually select people. I can also select people by tag. So if you are searching by tag, unfortunately, you do have to scroll down to find the tag you're looking for. But you can select tags and it'll bring up those contacts with that specific tag. And then you can select them. So for today's class, I'm just going to select a couple contacts. And then click confirm. And you can see right away it created my email list. Now, at any time, you can come here and click that pencil to edit the email list, or you can delete it. But I was able to add those contacts and create my list here. So now let's actually go in and create the email campaign. So again, we'll click create a new campaign at the top right. And this time we will select email. We can enter in the campaign name. I'm going to create a piece for that listing again. So I will call this the listing address. I'll call it 3031 Farmhouse. And my goal is to advertise a listing. You can select any one of these options here. And my campaign is going to run under command email. I want to send this to my command database. So let's click Setup Campaign. Now this is going to follow a similar structure. We're going to work our way through these items on the left to create our email over here on the right. So step one is general information. This is already selected for us based on those items we just selected. So we're advertising our listing. The campaign name is 3031 Farmhouse, and we're sending this to our command database. Under select account, this is selected for us as well. This is our command email. Now, step three, we need to choose who we're sending this to. If we need to, we can create a new email list. If we hadn't done that ahead of time, you can actually do that here as well. We can edit the email list, or we can select from the list we already have created. So I'm just going to choose that list we just created. And again, you can edit that list, or you can create a new list if you hadn't done so. But I selected our farming email list. And then step four, this is done as well. This is the command email. This is what we set up in our settings. This is our sender name, and the replies will come to this email address. If we do need to change this, we can click edit, and that's going to bring us back into our applications, and you can make those changes there. Under the subject, I'll say just listed in Franklin. This is the email subject. You have 80 characters here. Definitely better to keep this on the shorter end just so it doesn't look too spammy. And now we need to select our email piece. So I'm going to click here, select design content for your email. This brings up a new window. This is going to show us all of our email campaign templates. So it first brings you into My Templates. These are email pieces that we've created before. So you have access to your pieces. So if you already made an email piece, you can select that here from your library. But let's go into KWRI templates. These are all the email templates we have available to us. And they keep adding more. There's lots of great options in here. So we have some newsletter templates, and there's modern, classic, and approachable. So they're all newsletter, just a little bit different style. They have some fun informational pieces. So tax day, refinancing, protecting your credit. These are just kind of nice general email pieces that you can use. And the cool thing about these are already ready to go. So you can just select one of these options and send it out. You don't have to make any changes to it because it's already formatted for you. But of course, you can go in and customize it. So there's 72 different email campaign templates. I'm going to find a just listed one. You can see there's also some luxury emails in here. And I'm going to just use a just listed piece. You can see some holiday pieces in here, lots of good stuff, event invitations. And I'm going to do just classic for sale. So classic for sale, I'll just go ahead and click on this option, and it's going to bring us into the email campaign template, and we will customize this together. So this is our email piece. We do need to go ahead and add in the details. You'll see this text that has the asterisks and the little bars around it. So up here at the top and then down toward the bottom. This is all going to pull from our marketing profile. So that's why we went back into the marketing profile. And that's why you want to make sure all this info is added in, because this is going to plug it in automatically for you. But let's actually go ahead and start customizing this. So we need to change out this text. I'm going to go ahead and just click on the text box and then click the pencil button. Now I just need to type in that text. And once you click done, there we go, it'll plug it in. So you may have to play around with the formatting. As you can see, it kind of added in some funny spacing. So you may have to play around with that and just see how it formats, make it fit as best as you can. Let me go ahead and change out the listing price. Again, click on the text box and then the pencil button and just type that in. You can also change the fonts, the font size, and the formatting here as well. You can see that's happening right away. And just same process, we're just going to work our way through this and click and edit. So this has 4 bedrooms and 3 baths. And I'll change out the square footage. So I'm just clicking and editing, quickly changing out these property details. So change the text, click done, there we go. Now we have some spots for some photos. So I'm going to click on the image that I'd like to change. And then same process, click that pencil button to edit. Now you can change, you can add a link. You can actually hyperlink this image. You can change the width, height, whatever it is. I'm going to go ahead and just click replace to change the image and add in our listing photo. So I'll click replace. And we have a few options here. These are images that I uploaded previously to another email campaign. So I can choose these. I can add images if I have these photos stored on my computer. I can also pull from the KWLS. So I'm going to search for that listing again. So it's really great that this is all in one place. because I can just very easily pull these items over. So this is my listing. I'll select that. Select the listing photo. Click replace. And you can see it plugs it in here. So again, you can change the sizing, the formatting, add a border, whatever it is. I'm just going to click done. And it's going to plug in my photo for me. So let's follow that same process again really quickly just to add in 2 more images. So click the image, pencil, replace. I do have to type in that listing address again. But it's definitely easier than going through and having to upload photos from my computer. So I'll just choose that. And you can see pretty quickly, I'm just going through and adding in photos. Oop, and that one, it made it pretty small. So like I said, you may have to kind of mess around with this. Let me see why it did that. 220 by 157. I'm just changing the pixels so it's the same. There we go. So it's the same size. So we're working our way and putting together our piece. Now there are right here 4 or 3 different text blocks. So what you can do, I don't really need to add in my property description this way. So I'm going to change this up a little bit. I'm going to just delete these. And instead, I'm going to add in a text widget. So what you can do is you can add in these content blocks. So if I wanted to add in a block of text, an additional image, a button, a listing block, whatever it is, I can do so. So I'm going to just grab a text block and drag it over. And wherever this green line appears, whoop, that's where the text is going to appear. So, oh my goodness, I want my text right underneath these photos. So I'm going to drop it there. There we go. And you can see it added in a text block. So I'm going to click here, and this is where I'll add my property description. So I dragged over a text block, and I'm going to click that pencil button, and I'm just going to copy and paste my listing details, my property description into this box. Ooh, and I copied directly from the KWLS. So let's see if that, okay. So you can see that looks kind of funny. It did one whole line of text. So you may have to mess around with this to make sure it's formatted properly. Let me take that out. So I've noticed, let's see, nope. Sometimes what I'll do is I will go ahead and paste this into like Word. And sometimes that will change that formatting and maybe work a little bit better. There we go. So again, you may have to kind of play around with this to get the formatting right. Let's try this out. There we go. So that looks better. So if you have those issues, try pasting that into Word or even like your browser, and that should take out the formatting. Before I was just pulling that property description from KWLS, but it added in formatting from the website, but I got that to work out. So that's our piece. It's coming together. There's this button here for view listing. So we want this to be so if somebody clicks on this button here on this email, they're going to be taken to that listings page. So I'm going to click on this pencil button here. And we have a few different options. We can change the button text. So you can change this to say something else if you'd like. And then we need to select where this is going to link to. You can select either a landing page. So a landing page you may have created already in Command, or you can select a web address. So those are the 2 that I would recommend. So for example, we have a landing page that we created for this listing. I can select that here. And so when somebody clicks on this button, it's going to bring them to the landing page for this specific listing. If you want to take them to your website, you can add that in as well. So I'll just add in stormberggroup.com. though you'd probably want to take them to the page for this specific listing. And let me see if I can actually get that going. All right, so I have the link to this actual listing on their website. So I'm going to add that in. So when somebody clicks on this view listing button, they're going to be taken to the Stormberg Group's website for this and the page for this listing specifically. I can also change the font. I can change the positioning, make sure that that's centered. I can change the color of that button if I'd like, make it square or rounded, but I'm just going to leave it at that. Click done. And now when somebody clicks on this, they're going to be brought to that agent's website. All right. So all of this info, again, is going to pull from our marketing profile. You can change this further if you'd like. You can add in additional photos, buttons, a listing block, whatever it is, an event invitation, a video, but I'm just going to go with the basics of what this piece has already for me. This looks good to me. So I want to save this. So I'm going to go up here to the top left and change the design name. So I'm going to call this Farmhouse Email. And once I click away, you can see it saves. Sometimes when you're saving this, it may give you an error. Like for example, in one of my classes, it said I didn't have a license number. So I actually needed to go into my marketing profile and add that in. So if you get a weird error, look at what it's asking you or what it says you're missing. So I can see previews of what this is going to look like on different devices over here. But I actually want to see what this piece is going to look like with all the additional info plugged in. So I'm going to click on this eye here. And this is a preview of the email. And you can see it plugged in Scott's info from our marketing profile. Now we have some options up here at the top. We can click preview here as well. We can send a test email, which I definitely recommend. You can also download the template, which I believe is going to give you an HTML code that you can use in additional places as well. I'm just going to click save. Doesn't hurt to hit click save again, just so you don't lose your work. But let's go ahead and just click save and exit. And here's our email. So this is the email we just created. This is the full preview of it over here on the right. Now under actions, I absolutely recommend sending this as a test email to yourself, just so you can see what this email is going to look like. I also recommend adding yourself to your email list so you can see what this will look like and what time it actually goes out when it's sent to your database. So you can send a test email here, and then I recommend adding yourself to the email list as well. Yeah, and somebody asked if this is going to be recorded. Yes, this is at slmtraining.com. That'll be up later today. All right, so this looks good to go. I can either send now or I can schedule it ahead of time. So I'm going to go ahead and schedule. I can choose which date and time I'd like this to go out. We'll say tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. Apply the date and time, and then click schedule. So now this will be in draft status. It's scheduled, and that'll go out tomorrow. Once this email goes out, I will be able to see how many views, clicks, and bounces it received. Somebody said, is there a way to see what the template looks like before you select it? No, unfortunately not. What you can do, you can go into designs and look at the templates there. So you can actually access the email templates there. But there's not a way to view them ahead of time. You actually have to go into the email piece and view it. So I think it might be easier to go in through designs first when you're figuring out what you want, just so you don't have to like repeat that whole process. All right, so that's our email campaigns, basically sending an email blast to your database. The last campaign we're going to touch on today would be the direct mail. So let's click on direct mail here. Now through command, you can actually send out postcards. So to do so, I'm going to click create a new campaign up here at the top. and we will choose direct mail this time. Enter in your campaign name. I'm going to do the same thing. We're working with that listing. My goal is to advertise the listing. And now we have two options. We have default templates or upload a custom template. So you can actually add in your own postcard templates if you have them. There are some great postcard templates within the design section. You can actually create a postcard there. They have quite a few different templates. So you can create your postcard over here and upload it. They have more templates than they do within the default. For today's class, I'm going to just use a default template. But if you have your own postcards, maybe you created either in the design section or through a different website, you can actually upload those here and send through command as well. But for today's class, I'm going to leave this as default and we'll choose from one of those templates. So let's click Set Up Campaign. It brings up that same KWLS search page. So let's go ahead and select our listing. It's showing only my listing, so I'm going to change this to all listings. And that listing we're currently working with, I believe, is pending. So I'm going to change the status to all, just so I can see everything that's available. Search for my listing again. And select my listing here. And the great thing about this being linked to KWLS is it makes it really easy, and it basically already plugged in everything I need for me here already. So name and goal, that's already good to go. We have our little check mark. Now under listing details, we just selected that listing here. It plugged in the listing address, the listing price. We can add in a listing status. So I want this to say just listed. You do have to manually add in the bedrooms and baths. So this is 4 bedrooms, 3 baths. And then the description. So you get 350 characters. This is a little bit over, so I do need to remove some text here. I'm just going to take out the last bit there. Okay, ooh, and that's still too long. There we go. So this is going to be on the back of the postcard. You have 350 characters here. So you'll want a short and sweet little property description in this box. Let's click Save. Now listing photo, let's go ahead and go into this section. And I will select the main image here. If this listing photo, and you can see it says low res. So you may have to upload photos from your computer. Like if you have the photos from the photographer, the KWLS listing photos may not be high res enough. So I selected my listing from KWLS, but it's saying it needs to be high res. So I'm just going to go ahead and upload this photo from my computer instead. Ooh, and it's not high res enough. Let's see if that'll just let me. All right, so I selected a listing that does not have high res photos. So I'm going to upload a stock photo from my computer just for today's class. There we go. Okay, so I just uploaded a photo from my computer. If it alerts you of that, make sure you have some high res photos because this is a print piece. It does need to be a higher quality photo so it looks good on the postcard. So you can choose from KWLS. If they're not high res, upload the images from your computer and click Save. Under agent, this is pulling over from our marketing profile. So it has our headshot and our agent details here. Click Save. You can see really quickly we're working through these items. Now it has Market Center. This is our DBA logo that it pulled over from the marketing profile. Market Center name, the address. It doesn't put in the state or zip, and I always have to look this up. So let me find that real quick. All right, I'll add in my zip code. 7223, and then verify the address. Because it's going to give you the option to send yourself a copy of this postcard to your office address. So that's why it makes you add it in this way. So Confirm the office address here. And that looks good. Lastly, we have targeting. Now we have a couple options. You can do local targeting, which is basically selecting a farming area. And it's going to go based on the location of the listing. You can send it to those homes around the listing. You can select how many addresses, or you can target your database. If you have mailing addresses for people in your database or a farming group in your database, you can actually add those contacts here as well. We're going to go ahead and do a farming postcard based on the location of the listing. Somebody asked, do the digital templates have an unsubscribe option? Yes, they do. People can unsubscribe from your emails or add themselves to like a no email list, as well as your smart plans. So for targeting, we're going to go ahead and do local targeting, and this is the address of the listing, and we'll see more of that here in a moment. So I'll click save. And then budget. How many postcards do we want to spend or send, and how much do we want to spend? So we'll send out to 200 postcards, send out to 200 people. Of course, you can add or remove this number. And then first class. So this is based on what postcard you select. So kind of jumping ahead, over here on the right, these are our templates. We have the KW Compact, the 6x9, or these modern, bigger postcards. So I think if you select a different template, yeah, it'll give you different options based on which postcard you're sending. So if we send out this 6x9 postcard, we can send it by either standard mail or first class. We're going to go with just this 4x6 first class option. 200 postcards, our total will be $118. So let's click save. Now over here on the right, this is where we chose what type of postcard we'd like to send. This was automatically selected for us, but we can choose any one of these options as well. Of course, the bigger postcards are going to be more expensive. If you click preview postcard, it'll show you what this actually looks like. So there's our high-res photo that we added in, our logo, the listing details. So you can see it's a pretty basic postcard. So if you want to, of course, you can upload your own custom designs to send out through Command, but this looks good. This is the listing details, the property description, our info, and that's what this postcard is going to look like. So a really nice, simple postcard. That looks good. Lastly, we have the option to add in a QR code. So this adds a tracking element to your postcard. So if you'd like, you can turn on this little toggle here, and actually it will add a QR code to one of your landing pages. So since this is for a listing, I created a landing page over here in the consumer section, a standalone landing page, single property website for this listing. So I created that ahead of time. So if you want to use this QR code, you can only link it to a landing page that you have already created. So I went ahead and just created a landing page for Farmhouse. So basically, if somebody receives this postcard, they can scan the QR code on the postcard and be taken to this landing page to view more information about the listing, and then hopefully you'll capture their contact details. So that's a nice little feature you can add in as well. So somebody said, when you select local mailing, can you exclude certain groups of contacts from the local mailing? So I'll show you how we actually set that up. So all of this is good to go. Next, we need to go and configure our targeting. So we'll click step 2. It says, are you sure you want to create this campaign? Yes. And we're not paying for anything yet, so don't worry about that. Now we're going to configure the targeting. So we chose that local option, and it's basing the location on the listing address. So here's our listing address, and it's selected I zoomed out a little bit, but that was actually good. It selected 200 homes around our listing. And you can see these are the criteria. So of course you can add in and basically target this as much as you'd like. I don't think you can, yeah, you can go through and actually remove individual homes if you'd like. So you can see I'm highlighting or putting my mouse on top of these individual homes. I can remove them if I'd like, and it's pretty cool. It shows listing details about these actual homes. So you can choose how many homes you want to send this to, the property type, property details, and you can also manually remove homes here. There's also an option to send a copy to the company address. It's basically just sending yourself a copy, which I would recommend. So I'll check that box. So you can configure your targeting and then click next. And it will give us a preview of that postcard again, and then the order summary. So it's going to be 201 postcards. One's going to us at $118.59. It's at first class postage. And that looks good. Now all we have to do is enter in the payment information, and this is good to go. Now I do want to point out that please make sure that you proof this, you like the addresses that you're sending this to, everything is correct, because the moment you hit make a payment, there's no way to cancel this order. So make sure that everything is correct and good to go, because unfortunately, there's no going back once you click make a payment. But that is actually about it for today's class. I know we went over a ton of stuff, so please feel free to reach out to us if you have additional questions. Putting our email in the chat, we are support@scottleroymarketing.com. Again, I did record this. This will be up at slmtraining.com. And for those other classes that I mentioned, we have a Facebook Ads 101 class, which is an hour class just going over running a Facebook ad campaign. And then we also have a Designs 101 class. I know I made that Facebook post really quick at the beginning of class. Check out Designs 101 and we go over that slowly and more in depth. So thank you guys again for watching our class. If you have questions or concerns, reach out to us. If not, we hope you enjoy the rest of your week and we'll talk to you soon.